Watch out, it's the warning track.
Welcome into another episode of The Warning Track. I'm your host, Clayton McMahon. Thank you for joining. This is episode 9. We are just starting to pump these episodes out. We've only got 2 days. We were recording this on March 23rd, morning of March 23rd, so the season's only 2 days away. Granted, that Wednesday, there's only going to be one game. I believe it's Yankees versus Giants. Because I got Devers in a league. So, just one game on Wednesday and then some on Thursday. But it's just wild to me that we're only 2 days away here, and really looking forward to the season. I think it's going to be a great year. Just wrapped up the Hundo draft late Saturday night, so that's something we'll kind of recap and talk about in this episode. And then we have a ton of news and notes, a lot of positional changes in terms of players figuring out whether they're making big league camp or going down to the minor leagues. So some injury updates and even a contract extension, which really doesn't matter too much for fantasy, but we'll talk about it anyway. Let's just kind of get right into it here. We'll look at my squad. Have it imported over to ESPN now. We'll just kind of read off the full team top to bottom. So catcher, you have William Contreras, Nick Kurtz, Ketel Marte, a lot of the early round picks, Jose Ramirez at third base, Jacob Wilson at shortstop, Otto Lopez middle infield, Devers corner infield. Doesn't get much better than that in your corner infield spot. Tyler Soderstrom, Michael Harris, Jacob Marcy, and then Seiya Suzuki, who we'll get into in a little bit, will normally be the fourth outfielder. Ramon Laureano, Carlos Correa, and then Moises Ballesteros. Heading to the pitching staff, we have Jacob deGrom, Cade Smith, Michael King, Sandy Alcantara, Mackenzie Gore, Clayton Beeter, reliever for the Nationals, Hogan Harris, Riley O'Brien, Matt Swanson, Chris Bubich, Aaron Nola, Jack Flaherty, and Blake Snell. So kind of the last few rounds where we left off, I think I recorded an episode Friday. So it's been a couple days since being able to talk about the draft. And as the late rounds were playing out, I basically was just trying to get a bunch of relievers. I know I've done an episode and kind of talked sparingly in others about looking at the 5 or 6 teams or so that are going to be going in with committees and trying to keep an eye out for them. But the more I kind of thought about it, I mean, heading into the late rounds of the draft, I knew I was going to put Blake Snell in the IL and Seiya Suzuki in the IL. And this Hundo league has 4 IL spots. Kind of overkill, honestly, but it was like that before I became commissioner, so I've kind of just kept it that way. It kind of makes the waiver wire pretty dead because so many people can just stash guys. But anyway, I knew I'd have 2 roster spots essentially free for tomorrow, which is when the first waivers would go through. So I figured, why not just not even take a chance and take a gamble and just lock up some of these teams. So, like I said, took Clayton Beeter in the 20th round, took Hogan Harris, reliever for the Athletics, in the 22nd round, and then Riley O'Brien and Matt Swanson with 2 of my last 3 picks. And then what I think I'm probably going to do is I'm debating whether I want to use a waiver spot because I am 8th. Yeah, I'm 8th on the waiver, so pretty kind of far down already. But I think the 2 I'm going to use him on is Jose Ferrer for the Nationals, to basically lock up the Nationals job, whether it's him or Clayton. And then probably get Jojo Romero, which will essentially lock up the Cardinals, however that shakes out. I'll have the top 3. So I think that's my goal. And then just hoping, I mean, obviously there's no guarantee, but just having at least either the Athletic situation, the Cardinals, or the National situation play out in my favor, and then be able to pair at least one, if I'm lucky, 2 of the lower end relievers with Cade Smith, who should dominate. So I feel really good about that. Some of the late round hitters or whatever, I think Ramon Laureano, if he can stay healthy, I think we'll be fine, which we really haven't seen much, but I mean, his 2025 season, this last year, he did play 132 games across two different teams, Baltimore and the Padres, and he's still with the Padres. And put up a 281 batting average, 855 OPS, 24 homers, 7 stolen bags. And then we saw, has it really been that long? But yeah, in 2019, I guess he also played, but this was not a good year in 2023. But in 2019, put up similar numbers, a few more stolen bags, but similar batting average and on base or OPS totals. So feel good about that. At least he'll just be a short fill-in until Seiya Suzuki is able to return, which, like I said, we'll get the update on him later in the show. Moises Ballesteros, I actually really like that pick a lot. It seems like he's definitely going to be on the roster. Seems like a DH, but that's totally fine, especially with the last pick. Honestly, kind of seeing his profile, and he had a good start last year. I mean, had 298 batting average last year across like 20 games, 57 at bats. His profile, and I feel like I can't remember if it was CBS or maybe it was the Pitcher List talk about it, but he kind of reminds me of a Victor Martinez type with a high batting average, potential to hit like 20 homers ish. It should be a really good lineup. So I don't know if he'll get catcher eligibility. Not that it really matters too much. In ESPN, I have William Contreras, who should play a bunch, so I'm not too worried about that. And then Carlos Correa, not really sure how this is going to shape out, but I like the dual eligibility at shortstop and third base. So we'll kind of see there. The pitching, I kind of mentioned it on the last episode or the second to last episode, but I think considering how late I waited to get pitchers, I think being able to get the row of Alcantara, Mackenzie Gore, Aaron Nola, Flaherty, Bubic, I'm actually really happy with how my starting pitching shaped out. Obviously, going to be heavily reliant on Jacob deGrom staying healthy and Blake Snell hopefully coming back end of April-ish like he's projected and not really having any issues. I think this 117 whip projection is kind of a little crazy, but if he does that, I will be very happy. I just don't see that one happening. So, yeah, feel pretty good about the team. We'll kind of look at Ethan's really quick, and should be on the show tomorrow, hopefully. That's the plan. And kind of hear him talk about his squad. Just run it down. Hunter Goodman, Josh Naylor, Jose Altuve, Royce Lewis. He waited a very, very long time, for a third baseman. Ellie De La Cruz, Jonathan Aranda, Willie Adames, Corbin Carroll, Kyle Stowers. We'll get into his news. Definitely not ideal for Ethan dealing with the hamstring injury. Lawrence Butler, Kerry Carpenter, Jeremy Pena, Yainer Diaz. And then his pitching is Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Logan Gilbert, Edwin Diaz, Andres Munoz, Bubba Chandler, Luis Castillo, Spencer Schwellenbach, Grant Taylor, Joe Musgrove, Zebby Matthews, which was it was an auto pick, but I think he was in his queue. But I think when he made the pick, he had been optioned down to AAA at that point, so that's kind of tough. Bailey Ober, Matt Wallner, Reynaldo Lopez, and then Jonathan India. So clearly he was going for some of the IL stashes, which Schwellenbach and Joe Musgrove. We talked about Musgrove in one of the episodes last week where I like him, but the setback coming back from Tommy John, I don't know if there's any, unless there was a note I missed over the weekend. I don't think there's been an update on kind of how that's looking. Let's see here. Yeah, I mean, just that last update from last week. So between that, Schwellenbach, I have no idea what Schwellenbach's return is, if any. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't even have any notes on him. But I thought there may be a little reaches, at least in terms of what round, because he got Schwellenbach in the 18th round. When he could have taken somebody like Aaron Nola, Shane Baz, Zach Gallen, McClanahan, Flaherty next round. So I thought that was kind of a little bit of reach. I'll mess with him about it tomorrow. I like the top end pitching. Obviously, these four are pretty nasty. The hitting, I think. Sorry, yawning a lot this morning. The hitting, obviously, Kyle Stowers. Like I said, he had a setback with his hamstring injury. We'll talk about in a second. So, don't know how I'm feeling about the hitting. And as I've alluded to, he'll probably rant about this Jose Altuve pick a little bit when he comes on the show tomorrow. But he is also the reigning champ. Ethan did win this league last year, and it was also his first year ever playing fantasy baseball. So I'm sure he'll be riding high off that a little bit, and we'll kind of see if he can repeat it. So he's a busy guy, and he made his living doing some really good streaming with starting pitchers. I'll give him a lot of credit for that. That being said, he's a busy guy, so I'll be interested to see if he can keep that up. But if anybody can, it'll be him. So yeah, kind of getting into some of the player news here. Honestly, there's a ton. Why don't we just start with Nick Lodolo, who is unfortunately dealing with. This one that says. Okay, he's dealing with a blister on his finger, and apparently this is something he's dealt with in the past. He was removed from Sunday's Grapefruit League start against the Guardians due to a blister on his left index finger, and he is obviously a left-handed pitcher. Not really sure what the strategy is for the Reds in terms of how they're going to handle it, but like I said, he's apparently dealt with blister issues in the past. Obviously not something ideal. Apparently he's penciled in to start the second game of the season, which is Thursday, or is that Friday? 23, 24, 25. Or Saturday. Okay. So either way, not really what you want to see 2 days before the official season start. Kind of on a better injury note, Trey Savage is planning to start a minor league baseball game on Wednesday, which would be March 25th. The Blue Jays manager, John Schneider, has already announced that Savage will begin the season on the injured list, but the right-hander continues to build up after having a delayed start to spring training. So this kind of makes me think that it might not be too lengthy of an absence. I remember when they first announced the IL stint, it seemed like, oh boy, wasn't really pitching much in spring training. Now here's why. But it may not be too bad if he's already scheduled to start a minor league game in 2 days. So good note from that. Another one that's potentially good. Why is this not showing? Here we go. Jeremy Pena. Astros skipper Joe Espada told reporters on Sunday that he has yet to rule out Jeremy Pena for opening day as he deals with a fractured ring finger. He took batting practice on the field Sunday without issue, also participated in fielding drills, so the recovery seemed to go pretty quickly for Jeremy Pena, which has been good. So I know or at least in Hundo, which was obviously the most recent draft I did, I believe Ethan got him. Did I say? Yes, he did in one of his util spots. So I think he got a solid discount. Where is he? And the 11th round. So what pick would that be? So 128th overall. So not too bad. It's about the time I got Suzuki, and they, I think, are kind of in very similar situations, if not Pena being a little ahead of schedule or may not even miss any time. So I think the fact that they're still giving him a chance just 2 days away from the start of the season makes me seem like, I mean, even if he misses a couple of days, I'd be shocked if they put him on the IL and just lock him out for 10 days. So So good news if you're able to get a discount on Jeremy Pena in your drafts. I think that'll be obviously he's not going to be some Bobby Witt Jr. or anything, but if you're able to get a little discount, I think that'd be a nice pick. So kind of on a similar note to Pena, I just mentioned Seiya, Suzuki. Why is this not all batters? All available. Okay. Why is this not showing up? Wait, let's just go to this. Or ESPN then. So, unfortunately, manager Craig Counsell said Saturday that Suzuki will not be ready in time for opening day. That's a report from The Athletic. Counsell added the team still hasn't decided whether to place Suzuki on the injured list, which is good. But the Cubs may play it safe and give the slugging outfielder all the time he needs to ensure he's fully healthy when he makes his season debut. So that means Michael Conforto will likely make the opening day roster for the Cubs. So kind of stinks. I can't remember if I drafted Suzuki in the middle of one of the episodes last week, but I mean, he was normally going like in the high 80s, low 90s, and so I got him in the 110s. So I was happy with that discount, and I can definitely afford to have him sit for a few days. In a way, it would almost be kind of nice because that'll give me enough time to have that extra roster spot open and do what I said at the top of the show, pick up some extra relievers, and hopefully those situations will kind of play out by the time Suzuki comes back. But either way, shouldn't miss a ton of time. And then the last one, this one's probably the worst injury note. This is what I was alluding to with Ethan, is Kyle Stowers. Why is Yahoo is just all of a sudden, here we go. So they announced that Kyle Stowers, when did he injure the hamstring? I think it was Friday. Yeah, it was Friday. And then, they announced he'll begin the season on the injured list. It's just a grade 1, but he's expected to be shelved 3 to 4 weeks. He battled hamstring issues early on during spring training and then aggravated it again Friday. So probably won't see him until the end of April. Definitely not ideal. This news came out after Ethan had drafted him, so not a Zebby Matthews situation, but still not ideal. Considering, well, for one, he doesn't even have a backup outfielder. Or no, Matt Wallner. And I guess India. He has one. Okay, so he'll be able to stop gap it for a bit, but it still won't be the most ideal situation in the world. And then the last news, which isn't really fantasy relevant, or at least I don't see how it could impact his fantasy value or performance or anything, but Christopher Sanchez, starting pitcher for the Phillies, coming off a fantastic season, was just given an extension or signed an extension with the Phillies for 6 years, $107 million with a club option for 2033. I saw a lot of people kind of not bashing the contract, but definitely pointing out how it's team friendly. And I would agree. I mean, if you get multiple years of Christopher Sanchez doing what he did last year, then yes, that's an absolute steal. At the same time, it's like, come on, people. This is $107 million. I don't think there's anything, I guess, necessarily wrong with trying to maximize the value that you bring, but at the same time, I guess the way I've always thought it is, I mean, I'm obviously not a millionaire, but what is really the difference between 107 and, say, I don't know, even like 150 million? I get that's also maybe being naive and saying it's, $40-some million almost, but considering, I don't know what he was making. Yeah, I don't think this note's going to say, or okay, one of them does. So he's making $3.5 million this year, only $3.5 million. So it'll definitely be a pay raise for him regardless, even if it maybe was as much as he could have gotten. But I'll definitely give the Phillies credit for being able to lock him up on such a good deal. It reminds me a lot of the Atlanta Braves deals, how they were able to get all those deals. Like, I think, is Acuna on one of them? Yeah, I mean, they got Acuna for 8 years, $100 million. I know Michael Harris is kind of underperformed. If I remember correctly, he was on a similar one. Yep, 8 years, $72 million. I think Albies also was. This is not giving his contract info. But regardless, I mean, yeah, it's obviously a good deal for the team. But actually, he's gonna be a free agent kind of soon. A team buyout. So yeah, maybe another year or two. Interesting. So yeah, like I said, I don't think that changed anything for fantasy, but I just thought it was an interesting note. And that pretty much wraps it up for today. Like I said, I thought the draft went well. It was probably one of the longer ones. It wrapped up late Saturday night. The last couple rounds, there were definitely a lot of auto picks, and I assume people have queues established, so it wasn't like just the computer was truly making the back end of their team. But a little frustrating, but what do you do? But we got her done. We got her done in time before Wednesday, which is all that really matters. Love the team name. Thought of this myself. It's a reference to a Dave Chappelle skit, the World Series of Dice. Very, very funny. Yeah, feeling good about the team. The stolen bases, maybe that's something I'll get into Wednesday, is kind of just my free agent waiver wire thoughts. I definitely think I would like a little more in the steals department. I mean, if Jacob Marcy and Jose, well, I definitely trust Jose Ramirez too, unless injury or whatever. But if Jacob Marcy is projected to get the steals that he is, then I don't think I'll be severely hindered in steals. But yeah, I mean, really only have 4. I mean, as you can see, only 4 guys projected for double digits, which is not ideal, even if 2 of them are kind of on the higher end numbers. So thankfully, there's a lot of ways to target cheap steals on the wire, so that's something we could probably talk about later on this week. And yeah, like I said, that's pretty much all the time we have for today. Appreciate you joining another episode of the Warning Track, episode 9. Like I said, it'll be fitting that Ethan will be on for episode 10, our double digits, and having our first guest on the Warning Track. So should be a good time. Like I said, really looking forward to the season starting. I hope you guys are as well, and thank you for tuning in, and hope you guys have a great rest of your day.
Watch out, it's the Warning Track.